Howdy y'all, this is Raven again. This is my part 2 to my previous video about from Islam to heathenry. So, just a quick recap. I basically left Islam because I found logical issues with the religion. It was really hard growing up in the United States as a Muslim, and even though I am no longer a Muslim, the trouble and the suffering that I went through growing up Muslim will always remain with me. And for that reason, I will always defend innocent Muslims against the same suffering in any ways that I can. Don't judge all Muslims by the crimes that are committed by some Muslims. Anyways, when I left Islam and I just went back to nature to try and figure out what I believe, I came to the conclusion that divine beings do exist for sure, that there is most likely an intelligent design to this universe and an intelligent designer. I read books like, for example, Signature in the Cell. I can't remember if that was by Brian Sykes or Stephen C. Meyer. I read books by both of those guys. One of them is a genetic scientist, and the other one is a sort of physicist. So I always get them mixed up. But one of the two wrote that book. And it goes into the scientific evidence for intelligent design. Just as an example, mathematically speaking, the likelihood of life arising at any point within our universe... Hold on. Oh, God. I'll get it later. The likelihood of life arising at any point within the history of our universe so far is so infinitesimally small that it really just shouldn't have happened. And yes, I am going to go to the very well-known argument that our universe is finely tuned to harbor life, because it is. The likelihood that the physical constants in our universe would be exactly as they are, just right for life to actually occur, for anything more complex than electrons to occur within our universe, the likelihood of this happening was extremely small. It was practically nil. It is more likely that you could have 1,000 people to pick up dog turds and all throw them in random directions and have it somehow form into a giant sculpture of a chicken. That would be more likely. Well, okay, maybe not. I might be exaggerating there, but you get the idea. It's extremely unlikely that anything more complex than a tiny little particle wound up being able to arise within our universe at all, at any point. Yet, we have a universe that is structured such that not only is there complex life, but that, mathematically speaking, it should be fairly common. This seems almost like a contradiction. On one hand, the likelihood of complex life arising at all in our universe, or the likelihood of our universe being able to harbor complex life, is infinitesimally small, so on and so forth. But on the other hand, we ought to expect a lot of intelligent life. you know, what is it, the freaking Drake equation or something like that. There are a bunch of different equations and theories and formulas and whatnot that all predict that there should be more than just us out there in terms of intelligent life. You know, it just doesn't make sense for there to be only one intelligent life form. And yet it seems nonsensical to believe that intelligent life arose randomly. If you see a series of letters spelling words anywhere, okay, let's say, for example, you see a garden of flowers and you see that they are clearly forming words. How does that tell you that there was an intelligent designer? Isn't it technically possible that they could have just grown that way? No, it's not. It's extremely unlikely. But there is a way that you can tell that it was designed. It's because of the way that it's structured. It's in structures that are highly unlikely to occur randomly. And you know that they're not random because you know that they are conforming to known conventions. We have known conventions that express our communication. You know, we have conventional ways of writing and conventional ways of using the writing to represent words and things like that. You know, you can tell when something is intelligently designed. It's just obvious. It's apparent to you. And when we study nature and we see how highly structured it is, and when we compare this to the fact that the likelihood of these highly structured phenomena of life were highly unlikely to occur at all in our universe, it's just ridiculous to think that this occurred naturally. Or, sorry, not naturally, randomly. Anyways, this is debatable, but this is just a small, tiny little sample of where my thinking went when that happened. So, I do believe that there's an intelligent designer. I do believe that it is evident that there are intelligent forces behind the things that happen in our universe. Maybe one, maybe multiple. I also believe that what we call energy, and I'm talking about scientific energy, not woo-woo-wee-wah energy, scientific energy, seems to fit the traditional descriptions of God. The scriptures say that God is all-powerful. Well, in our universe, energy is technically all-powerful. If you view energy as being a great collective, then energy as a whole is all-powerful, because nothing in this universe can happen without the necessary energy being present at the right time. However, because energy in our universe is never wasted, this is physics, energy is never wasted, it always has to go somewhere. If the necessary energy for something to happen is present, that energy will make it happen. So it is not only the allower of everything to happen, but it is the causer of everything to happen. So therefore, we can reason that energy is omnipotent. We can also reason that energy is omnipresent, because literally everything in our universe, at least as far as we currently know, is energy. Matter, in fact, is energy. You are energy. Everything is energy. Anywhere you go in the universe, there is energy. Well, the scriptures say that God is omnipresent. Well, the scriptures also say that God is omniscient. He possesses knowledge over everything that happens in this universe. Well, a physicist could reason that energy actually contains all the information. Anything and everything that happens in this universe is information in one form or another, and information can be both held and transmitted, and I guess you could say interpreted by one form of energy or another. Everything in this universe is energy and information. Information is knowledge. Knowledge is wisdom. So if all of the information, and therefore the knowledge, and therefore the wisdom of our universe is contained in one form of energy or another, then collectively speaking, energy can be defined as omniscient. It knows everything. 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 Energy is omniscient. Energy is omnipotent. Energy is omnipresent. Energy is, by definition, the creator and causer and allower of everything that happens in our universe. In fact, our universe was created by energy. The Big Bang happened because we, at least theoretically, had all of this reality, all condensed into a tiny singularity, a tiny small little singularity, and it expanded explosively because energy built up inside it, pressure built up inside it, and boom, it expanded outward. Energy can technically be conscious. You are conscious. You are energy. In fact, you have consciousness because of energy. Your thoughts are electromagnetic impulses within your brain. Your awareness is generated by an electromagnetic system that both surrounds and fully interpenetrates your body down to every single particle. You are energy. You are also consciousness. You are a mind. So, but you are also a collective. You are not actually one thing. You are a combination of countless tiny little mechanisms, various tiny little things, brain cells and skin cells and neurons and whatever you want to call them, electrons, neutrons, protons, so many different tiny little things make you, you. You are not one thing. Neither is your consciousness. Okay? You have templates in your brain that are created by mirror neurons, right? So when you watch somebody perform an action, your mirror neurons create a template containing the information on how to mirror that activity. That is a type of memory, and it's basically the monkey see, monkey do mechanism within your brain. Well, one tiny little template of information, one tiny little piece of your brain that contains a little tiny piece of information doesn't contain the entirety of all the information possessed by your whole brain or your whole mind or your whole body. It doesn't. It is a tiny little individual thing with a tiny little piece, a fragment of the total consciousness that is you. But you don't go around saying, we are legion. You don't. You experience your reality as though you are a singularity, one whole. You don't experience reality as though you are millions of tiny little particles or millions of tiny little cells or mechanisms. No. You experience things as I, me, myself. You experience things as a collective singularity, and you have a consciousness. Well, if that's possible, then it's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched to conclude that it's possible that maybe everything in this entire universe, in fact, maybe everything in all existence, all of the universes, is actually just a part of one great collective singularity. And that singularity is made up of many different types of information and energy, matter, so on and so forth, blah blah blah, meh, 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 meh. That's God. For all intents and purposes, that is God. But that's also everything. So, my thought processes led me from traditional monotheism to a sort of a scientific, or at least theoretical, pantheism, because I don't claim to have perfect science, you know. I could be wrong about all kinds of things, but pantheism, at least pantheism as in the belief that everything is God, is what makes the most sense to me personally, and that's where I'm at right now. I know that I said in part 1 that I would go into divine beings and whatnot, but since this video is already 16 minutes and counting, I will cut it off here, and maybe later at some point I will make another video continuing on this subject. Anyways, thank you very much. Bye.